on my way over to the Rochester Hills Jungle House, the overgrown jungle. I'm going to check on the progress with the tree guys. They should have gotten here nice and early in the morning and started on that side in the backyard. The front yard was done Friday, and hopefully they'll be finishing up today or early tomorrow. I'm also going to be meeting the demo guy. Basically, I just want to cover everything with him, make sure we're on the same page, make sure he gets all the spots. We got a dumpster coming tomorrow, and I want to start demo right away. Don't want to waste any time. Time is money when it comes to these projects. You know, I talk to a lot of people who want to rehab houses, and I get it, because I'm just like you. You know, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I actually love watching all the TV shows, and I really like taking like an old, distressed, dilapidated property and turning it into something beautiful and new for a new person to come in and enjoy. Hopefully I'll be able to take you guys along on this journey, show you exactly the process of how we go through it. And this is the first time we're able to take the time and actually record what we're doing from beginning to end. So I just closed on this property Friday, and it is Monday, and we've already started all the tree removal and bush removals, cleaning up the whole yard just to kind of bring out the house. So now you can see the house. And you'll see that a lot of those trees and bushes, overgrown bushes, I mean, we don't want to take out trees if we don't have to, but they're actually interfering with the house. They're growing into the house and over the house. They're already doing damage to all the gutters. All the fascia boards on the outside were rotted because of the trees. So if you're not careful, if you don't take care of the trees properly, trim them up every once in a while, things like that, you can run into a lot of problems with your property. Now, luckily here, we don't have any foundation issues. So many times we see these big trees planted right up against the house. And you got to imagine that root system could potentially be as big as all the branches and leaves you're seeing above you. So imagine those things growing into your foundation and cracking the foundation and causing leaks. So we see that all the time. You see these big trees, their root systems are growing into the sewer drain coming out of the house to the street, and they damage it. Well, that could be a very expensive fix if you have to dig up your yard into the street and repair damaged sewer drains. So don't plant big trees close to the house, you know, and if a tree is getting too big, you know, unfortunately you have to think about cutting it down. Also, you shouldn't have big branches hanging over your house. You shouldn't have any branches touching your roof or growing against the side of your house. We see a lot of that, especially big bushes. They end up growing a lot bigger than people anticipated. And then you have, you know, all kinds of problems with rotted wood and rotted siding and things like that. So, unfortunately on this property, we have a lot of trees and bushes to rip out and kind of start over. But I think you'll see that once we do that, it really opens up the house, brings out its curb appeal, and when we start working on that exterior, it's going to be a lot more impressive. You know, a lot of people that I talk to, they really want to get into flipping houses, and they don't know how to get started. And honestly, it's not as easy as it used to be. There's not that many houses out there to buy. Prices are up, and the competition is a lot greater. So every time you find a house, everybody's looking at that same house. Everybody's competing for the same few that do pop up. So, got to make a point to know your markets, know your area, and be ready to jump on opportunities as they show up. In some cases, like this one that we're going to right now, you know, it was It was a bidding war. We kept upping our bid. Our first offer was a full asking price offer, and in many cases, for a long time, you send somebody a full asking price offer, it's a done deal. They just sign it, and you're good to go. But in this case, we bid up, and we ended up bidding up quite a bit. I mean, we ended up almost $50,000 over our starting point. So we're $50,000 over the asking price. Now, we've done our comps, we've done our homework. I know the area very well. I live here in the area. I have listings in the area as a real estate agent. I also list homes. And so I know this market really well. I know how much money I'm going to spend to fix it up. I know what kind of work I'm going to do. So I'm quite confident of what my asking price is going to be when we're all done. So it worked out for us to go ahead and bid that much over. I wish I didn't have to, because that's another 50 grand that could have been in my pocket. But sometimes that's what you got to do, and you got to know when the right time is to make that play. There's other times when, even if it goes 5,000 over asking price, we don't go. We decide that we don't want to make the play because our numbers don't work, or the numbers are too tight. And you've got to know how to do that, or you've got to be prepared to make those kinds of decisions. None of this is that difficult. It's just, I think it's more just knowing, having the knowledge, educating yourself, watching the market, watching the areas that you want to invest in, looking at properties, digging out what's going on with them, looking to see if anything looks like it might be in trouble, going into foreclosure, is in pre-foreclosure or whatever, understanding how to structure the deals. These are all things you could pretty much learn on the internet, on YouTube, watching other people's channels or watching my channel. You'll learn all these things. But a lot of it's just experience. Just get out there, get a deal. Don't be afraid to lose. You never want to lose. You always want to win, and always structure it so that you win. But don't be afraid to lose, because all those losing experiences are learning experiences, and that's the key. Making sure you understand, okay, what is going on here? I just kind of freaked out for a second because I thought this might be city inspector. It's somebody from the city, but it's not my house. So, wow, that kind of freaked me out for a second. All right, the tree guys are not here yet. Which is not good. You know what? I am going to call them and see where they're at, because we're burning daylight here. It's what, like 9:30 in the morning? All right, I'm going to give these guys a call. I'll get back to you guys in a second. Okay, so it turns out not a big deal. They're just a couple minutes away. Which is fine, you know, like if they had another job, they said that they're finishing up and then coming over here. But I got to keep my job moving, right? So it's not about they're not doing their thing or I'm being a hard ass about something. It's more like just making sure that everything is moving along so that we don't get stuck, especially with a property like this. Sometimes when you're spending a little bit more money to get the property and the project is going to cost you more, you also have higher holding costs, taxes cost more, insurance costs more, you're paying interest to an investor, that's costing you more. So all that kind of stuff you got to be mindful of, and all those reasons you have to make sure that you get things going quickly, because every day is costing you money, and you don't want to lose a day here, a day there, a day there. The next thing you know, you're 10, 15 days, 20 days even longer than you anticipated, and budgeted for. So, okay, well, I'm going to meet up with these guys now, and then I'm going to meet up with the demo guy, go through the house. What I'll probably do is go ahead and turn the camera around at that point and show you guys what the inside of this house looks like. And maybe when I'm out with the tree guys, I'll take a couple of videos. Alright, I'm just leaving this Fairview property. Met the demo guy, settled with him on a price and scope of work. And I watched the tree guys for a while. It's pretty neat. They're climbing up all the trees and cutting them down, and they're moving fast. I mean, these guys, their chainsaws cut through these trees like butter. It's neat to watch. 1 second here. So some of the challenges here is dealing with neighbors, trying to make sure all the neighbors are happy. When I first got here, the neighbors to the right of us came out and they had concerns about which trees we were cutting down and their privacy, etc., etc. So I told them I'll do my best. I'll try to maintain what I can to keep the privacy between the properties. They were very nice and very friendly. And told them that we're not going to take out the one big tree that separates our property. We're just going to kind of clean it up a little bit. There's a honeysuckle bush there that was overgrown. I was going to just clean it up. And they seemed very accommodating and happy. They wanted some of the wood that we had. They wanted some of the wood that we had on the apple tree cut up into logs that they can use for their fire. So I accommodated them on that. The tree guys were more than happy to oblige, and I appreciate that. However, we did cut down that honeysuckle bush. It's completely gone now. It was overgrown. You know, I'm trying to save what I can, but we ended up cutting that down. They didn't complain or anything, but we might have to go back and buy a new honeysuckle bush and put it in there just to, you know, keep that friendly neighborhood feel going. You know, just to keep that peace with the neighbors. But yeah, sometimes, you know, things like that happen. And like, for example, the neighbor to the left of us, we were chipping all the trees, and, you know, it was blowing like little debris and things like that, and little leaves are blowing into his yard. So I just asked the tree guys, hey, before you guys leave, I don't care about my yard so much right now, but before you guys leave, can you please, you know, rake up their yard, clean it up, leave it as spotless as the guy's yard is spotless. Leave it the way it was before you got here. And they were more than happy to do that. So I really do appreciate when we get a chance to work with trades that have a good attitude and they understand how to be professional. So I just talked to my partner Chuck about the price we agreed to for the demo, and he thought it might still be a little high. And you know, it's difficult sometimes. You get to do a bigger house, 2,600 square foot, 2-story house. You know, we're ripping off gutters and tearing out the deck, and you know, pulling out all the trim and all the doors and all the cabinets and all the toilets and all the sinks and and the cutting out drywall. There's a lot of stuff that's getting done in the demo, and it's going to take several days. So sometimes it's hard to completely quantify what is a good rate. If you got 4 or 5 guys tearing through stuff, they might get done in a day. And how much do you pay for a day's worth of work? So there's many different ways to look at it. In the end, I actually got it for less than what my budget was, but we're probably going to try to squeeze every penny out of them that we can. Just try to get all the work done and be there on site, pointing things out, making sure that they cover every little thing. That's the only way to do it. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. And turns out the tree guys, they're not going to get completely done today. They're going to be back Tuesday. Now, I paid them for 2 days worth of work, and any extra work is on them. However, I added another tree that we need to remove, and we need to get the stump ground down and tear out some more shrubbery. So that's going to add a few $100 more to my final bill, but it's okay. It's well worth it. They actually came in with a very fair price, and I'm happy with their work. They're working hard. They're working fast. They're good guys. So I don't mind people making money if we're all making money. You know what I mean? I'm not about squeezing everybody for every single penny. That's not the point. I want people to walk away happy and satisfied with the job they did and how they got paid, so that they'll be willing to work for me again. And sometimes they throw in a few extras or throw in a few favors or schedule you a little bit better. There's different things that can, there's different ways that you can benefit by paying somebody well for a job well done. Our assistant Lindsay just called, and actually she texted, telling us that the deed that the seller, the bank, signed on this property at the closing, they signed the wrong one. Now, not a big deal. It's still, the deed is signed over to us, but they had our old mailing address on there, the return to address, which can cause a little bit of confusion, but that's fine. We still own it. It's not like you don't own it if they get the wrong address on there. It's still, the entity Powerhouse Properties LLC is the new owner. But it's a little frustrating sometimes, just all these little things, these little details, that other people aren't paying attention to, when we do our best to pay attention to every single detail on our end, so things can go as smoothly as possible. They have our updated address. They even caught the mistake before and created a new deed with the correct address, but somehow that didn't get presented at the closing for the seller, and the bank ended up signing the old one with the wrong address. But sometimes these things happen. That's just how it works, and you just got to kind of go with the flow, roll with the punches. All right, so I'm pulling into the office here. It's a little past 11 o'clock in the morning, 11:21 a.m. And I'm going to stop in here, check my mail, do a couple of emails, and then just real quick, just check in and make sure everything's okay. All right, I'm just leaving the office right now. I've got a couple of stops I got to make. I'm going to go meet with the seller real quick and review all her closing docs with her. We got a closing coming up on Wednesday. Today's Monday. So I want to make sure she understands all her numbers and all the numbers are correct. That way when we get to the closing, there'll be no surprises. And I'm going to go back to the Rochester Hills Jungle House and check out the progress there with the tree guys, and maybe get them paid, depending on where they're at with everything. And gotta grab some lunch too. I'm always hungry, and unfortunately I find myself grabbing something quick to eat while I drive. It's just what happens. All right, back at the Rochester Hills Jungle House, and gonna check on the progress with the tree guys. Maybe take some pictures and a couple of videos that I can show you guys at a later time, and just talk to these guys and see what's going on, see where we're at, see how much we're gonna get done today.
Down. Cross a little bit. I can take this bend off it.
All right, so I just left the Jungle House, and progress looks good. I did take a couple of videos to show you how these guys get these trees down, especially these taller ones. It's pretty neat seeing them climb up there and take down these trees. All right, well, I came home. I'm gonna settle in a little bit in my home office here and work a little bit on some of the marketing and videos that I got to do. Then probably in about an hour or so, I'm gonna head back to the Jungle House and check on their progress, see if they're ready to wrap up for the day, and that's about it. All right, well, here we go. This is the third trip today to the Jungle House. Came home, worked in the home office a little bit, ate a snack, and got a little bit of my marketing and some of my videos organized for the day. And hopefully this will be my final trip out there today. It's only a couple of ways. It's only a couple of minutes away from where I live, so it's not too hard for me to go out there and check on things. We are here back at the Jungle House, and looks like they're doing a lot of little cleanup here, picking up all the logs, raking all the limbs and leaves and little bits and pieces that are all over. Just gonna double check with them, make sure that they clean up the neighbors' yards too, because it looks like we made a little bit of a mess. On their driveway. Check both neighbors. I don't want anybody to feel like we made a mess on their property. All right, well, I'm gonna head over there, talk to these guys, and just check everything out. Maybe I'll take a few pictures or a little bit of a video, show you what's been done in the back, and we'll go from there. Check out that deer. All right, I just left the jungle house. Day 2 of the tree removal and shrub removal is done. They got a lot done, but it is not complete yet. They're going to be back tomorrow. And they're going to finish everything up. We have a dumpster coming tomorrow, and the demo guys are also going to be there all day tomorrow, demoing the place, ripping out the cabinets and toilets and sinks and carpets and flooring, the doors, the trim. We're taking everything out, putting everything new. So tomorrow's going to be a busy day. This is my last trip to the house today, so hopefully tomorrow we can get a lot done. Alright, I'm back home. It's pretty much the end of the day for me being out and about. Gonna be working from home for the rest of the evening and make a dinner plan here. And see you guys tomorrow.